The Russian economy has been through its fair share of ups and downs over the years, with various factors contributing to its success and failures. However, one of the most significant challenges facing the Russian economy currently is the panic and erratic decision-making of President Vladimir Putin, which could ultimately lead to its collapse. In today's video, we'll be showing you how Putin's panic will cause the collapse of the Russian economy. Putin's reign as president of Russia has been marked by a consolidation of power and an increased authoritarianism that has led to a stifling of political opposition and a lack of transparency in government decision-making. This has been coupled with a series of foreign policy moves that have been controversial and, in some cases, detrimental to Russia's economy. For instance, Putin's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and his continued support of the separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine led to economic sanctions from the West that have severely impacted Russia's economy. These sanctions have limited Russia's access to international markets, restricted foreign investments, and led to a significant depreciation of the ruble. Moreover, Putin's attempts to prop up the Russian economy by increasing government spending have been hampered by a decline in oil prices, which is one of Russia's most significant exports. The Russian government relies heavily on oil revenue to fund its budget, and the decline of oil prices has led to a reduction in government revenue. In response to these economic challenges, Putin has made a series of decisions that have caused panic in the markets and led to further instability in the Russian economy. For instance, in March 2020, Putin announced that Russia would not participate in the production cuts agreed upon by OPEC and non-OPEC members. This decision led to a massive drop in oil prices, exacerbating Russia's economic challenges. Putin's government has also made a series of moves that have hurt the private sector and discouraged foreign investment. For instance, the government has cracked down on independent media and opposition groups, and in 2018 it passed a law that allowed for the blocking of websites without a court order. These actions have made it harder for foreign companies to invest in Russia as they fear government interference in their operations. Furthermore, Putin's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic has been widely criticized, with many experts pointing to his reluctance to impose strict lockdowns and his inconsistent messaging on the severity of the virus. This has led to a high number of infections and deaths in Russia, further hurting the economy. All of these factors, combined with Putin's panic-driven decision-making, have contributed to a decline in the Russian economy. The country's GDP fell by 3.1% in 2020 alone, and the World Bank predicts that it will only grow by 2.9% in 2021. This is significantly lower than the other emerging market economies such as China and India. The collapse of the Russian economy could have a significant set of consequences for the country and the world on the large. Russia is one of the largest producers of oil and gas, and a collapse of its economy could lead to a decline in global oil prices. Additionally, a collapse of the Russian economy could lead to increased instability in the country and region, potentially leading to conflict. One of the main issues with Putin's handling of the Russian economy is his focus on short-term solutions rather than long-term strategies. For instance, his decision to increase government spending to stimulate the economy may have provided temporary relief, but it has not addressed the underlying structural issues that have contributed to Russia's economic challenges. Additionally, Putin's attempts to limit the influence of the private sector and increase state control over the economy have hurt innovation and entrepreneurship. Many of Russia's most successful companies, such as Yandex and Mail.ru, were founded in the 1990s and early 2000s, but the government's recent actions have made it more challenging for similar companies to emerge. Furthermore, Putin's authoritarianism and lack of transparency have led to corruption and cronyism in the government and business sectors. This here has discouraged foreign investment and made it harder for Russian companies to compete on a global level. The COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated these challenges. Putin's reluctance to impose strict lockdowns and his inconsistent messaging on the severity of the virus itself may have hurt the economy and led to a higher number of infections and deaths. Moreover, the pandemic has highlighted the weakness in Russia's healthcare system and social safety net, both of which require significant reform. There are some steps that Putin could take to address these challenges and prevent the collapse of the Russian economy. First, he could increase transparency and accountability in the government decision-making process, which would help to reduce corruption and cronyism. Second, he could encourage innovation and entrepreneurship by providing some support for startups and small businesses. Third, he could focus on long-term strategies rather than short-term solutions, which would address the underlying structural issues contributing to the Russian economic challenge. Finally, Putin could work to improve Russia's relationship with the West, which would help reduce economic sanctions, and increase foreign investment. However, this would require significant changes in Putin's foreign policy approach, which has been characterized by confrontation and aggression. Another factor that could contribute to the collapse of the Russian economy is the country's demographic challenges. Russia's population has been declining for several years, and the country is facing a demographic crisis. This crisis is due to a combination of factors, including low birth rates, high mortality rates, and immigration. This demographic crisis could have significant consequences for the Russian economy. For instance, it could lead to a decline in the workforce and a reduction in the number of taxpayers, which could impact government revenue. Additionally, it could lead to a decline in domestic consumption, which is a significant driver of economic growth. Putin has acknowledged the demographic challenges facing Russia and has implemented policies to address them. For instance, he's increased funding for healthcare and education, and has implemented measures to encourage families to have more children. However, these policies have had limited success, and Russia's population continues to decline. Another factor that could contribute to the collapse of the Russian economy is the country's dependence on oil and gas exports. Russia is one of the largest producers of oil and gas in the world, and the country relies heavily on these exports for revenue. However, the global shift towards renewable energy sources and the decline in oil prices have made Russia's reliance on these exports increasingly unstable. To address this challenge, Putin could diversify the Russian economy and encourage the development of new industries. For instance, he could invest in renewable energies, technology, and manufacturing sectors. However, Putin's focus on state control and his reluctance to allow for more private sector involvement have hindered the development of these industries. Additionally, the lack of a strong legal framework and corruption have discouraged foreign investment, further hindering economic diversification. Putin's panic-driven decision-making and his lack of transparency and accountability has severely impacted the Russian economy. His moves have hurt the private sector, discouraged foreign investment, and led to further economic instability. The collapse of the Russian economy could have a significant set of consequences for the country and the world itself, and it is crucial that Putin takes steps to address these challenges before it's too late. Moreover, Putin's aggressive foreign policy and the resulting economic sanctions imposed by the West have hurt the Russian economy. The sanctions have limited access to capital, technology, and markets, and have contributed to a decline in foreign investment. These sanctions have also made it harder for Russian companies to compete globally, which has hurt the long-term set of prospects for the country. In addition to factors mentioned above, the Russian economy faces significant challenges such as a weak banking system, poor infrastructure, and a lack of skilled labor. These challenges require significant reforms and investment, which Putin has been slow to implement. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. For more interesting content, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video.